Hello and welcome back to Computer Science and Engineering 120 Learning to Code. This is Module 6, Presenting Data Part 2, using CSS. In this part, we'll give an introduction to cascading style sheets, including looking at how to style things using an inline styling, the span element, which enables you to apply styles to particular parts of a document, and external style sheets. Just as we learned when we explored data in JSON, it's much better to have data in a universal format. It's much more useful and can be manipulated much easier. Similarly, content in a document should be separated from its presentation rules. HTML can semantically mark up a document, giving each element meaning, while cascading style sheets can be used to add stylistic elements to the document. Here, cascading refers to the fact that HTML elements are nested, and child elements will inherit style properties, which can then be overridden or modified in the child elements. You can also define general rules or properties that apply to all elements in a single document, or even more specific rules that can apply to a single element. Ultimately, however, the rules are general. Browsers can decide how styles are ultimately rendered, and as often is the case, browsers will define their own non-standard CSS properties. Similar to other data formats that we've seen before, CSS rules follow a key value pair syntax. The key is a CSS property. The value depends on the type of the property. And the general syntax is that you specify a property, followed by a colon, and then the value that you want to set for that property. Styles can be applied to particular HTML elements. Rules can be placed in line with HTML tags using the style attribute of any element. And within the style, you can set multiple CSS rules using a semicolon to separate them. Consider the two examples below. In the first one, our first heading, My Home Page, will have an additional style that renders the font color in red. In the second example, we have a paragraph that sets several properties. For example, the font family will be Helvetica, it will be 14 point, and there will be a margin surrounding the paragraph of 1em. To reiterate, cascading in CSS refers to the fact that all style rules will be inherited by children elements, unless they're overridden by another style. To illustrate, let's take a look at the following example. Here we have a div element with a style color red. That is, all the font within this div element will be rendered in red. There are several paragraphs within this div. The first one, this paragraph inherits its red color from the div tag, will be rendered in red because it inherits that style rule from its parent div element. The second paragraph, however, will override that rule to render its font color in green. The third one, since it's still inheriting the red from its parent element, will then be rendered in red. Outside of that div element, the default style rules apply, and the last paragraph will be whatever the default font color is for the document, usually black. Often we may want to apply a style rule to a particular part of the document that's not actually a distinct HTML element. For example, we may want to italicize or bold a particular word within a paragraph to offset it from the rest of the paragraph. The span HTML tag was specifically designed to facilitate this. It doesn't apply any particular semantic meaning to the document. Instead, it's simply there to allow you to specify a style rule for that particular part. In the following example, we have a paragraph tag. Within that paragraph, we have two span tags. The first one will apply a bold font rule to CSCE 120. The second one will italicize the words, "Bring your laptop," including the period. Inline styles logically separate content and presentation, but they still place presentation rules within the document. It's much better practice to use external style sheets, where we place our CSS rules and style rules into a separate source file, usually a .css file that contains all those presentation rules. We can then include the external style sheet in our document by using the following syntax in the header. An external style sheet has similar syntax, however rules are enclosed with curly brackets. Consider the following example. Here we've applied two rules to the body element of our document. It'll have a font family of Helvetica, and its default color will be changed to a light gray. We've also added a left margin of 2 ems for all paragraphs within a document. For any first level header, we've applied some padding and made sure that the color is black. Note also that you can place comments into an external CSS file using syntax similar to JavaScript. The /* and */ and anything in between will be treated as a comment and ignored. Let's take a look at an example. Here we have an HTML document. It has a level 1 header and 2 paragraphs within the body. If we render this document, it'll have default stylings. The second paragraph has an inline styling that makes it green. Here's our style sheet from before that defines a different font family for the entire body, margins for paragraphs, and padding for the first level headers. Let's bring the style file into our document using the syntax from before and see how it changes the rendering. The fonts have been changed, and now the paragraphs have margins on their left side.